Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ferliza Rizky Diva Nuraisyah, and in this video, I would like to give some explanation about the terms used in exporting and importing goods. So in this video, I would like to explain to you about the definition of the terms and also give you some examples of the terms used in a sentence. So without further ado, let's go to the first one. So the first one is prohibited and restricted goods, and I categorize these terms to export and import terms because these terms used in both export and import as the goods that prohibited and restricted is usually exported and also imported. So for the first terms is prohibited goods. Is those goods for which importation and exportation have been completely banned for reasons linked to health, environment, protection of endangered species of flora and fauna, security, legislation, etc. So prohibited goods are those goods that basically cannot be traded, and it can danger some of like institution or a place or even like the people in that country. So for the example of the sentence is narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances are some of the prohibited goods in Indonesia. In this context, one of the examples of prohibited goods is narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances. And the second one is restricted goods, and this is the goods that have special licenses or permits and are required from the authority before the item is allowed to enter the country. So in this second terms, the goods can be traded, but it needs special license or permit to be traded. So for the example of the sentence is some examples of restricted goods in Indonesia are firearms and ammunition. So from this sentence, we know that firearms and ammunition are one of those examples of restricted goods. Okay, to the next term is national security. So in this term, I also categorize it to export and import term as it also used in both terms. And the definition of national security is the ability of the government to utilize military forces to protect its citizens' safety, economic welfare, and social institutions from the threat of attack by foreign or domestic invaders. And the example of the term in a sentence is this is a highly classified program that is crucial to our national security. Next term is public interest. So public interest is the welfare or well-being of the general public and society. And the example of the term in a sentence is education has always been a matter of public interest in Indonesia. All right, the next one is CITES. So CITES is the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. And it is a global agreement among governments to regulate or ban international trade in species under threat. So usually the species in this under sites, usually the endangered species, so they cannot be traded because they are very, very rare. And if they are traded, it can be to the point where they not exist anymore. And the example of the terms in a sentence is CITES appendix forest products are biological objects that are prohibited from being traded in Indonesia. So CITES appendix forest product is in Indonesia is forest product. It's hasil hutan. So hasil hutan are not in the situation where it can be traded in Indonesia. The next one is INSW, and in this term, it's export and import term, as this institution used for people who wants to export and import the goods. So INSW is an Indonesian national system, or it basically Indonesia National Single Window is an Indonesian national system that allows for a single submission of data and information and single and asynchronous processing of data and information and single decision making for customs release and clearance of cargo. And the example of the term is INSW serves as an information center and a source of progress to assist all vendors. And also there is one more terms that also related to this term is INSW portal is a system that will integrate information related to the process of handling customs documents and releasing goods. The example of the term is access recipients or INSW portal users who are given access rights according to the level of access authority granted. For the next term is decree, and I do not put this in export or import term as it is more general, but it is very crucial in export and import because this has something to do with the rules and with the rules. So the definition is an official order or decision, especially one made by the ruler of a country. And in this context, in Indonesia is the president. So the example of the term is the president issued a decree making May 1st as a national holiday. The next one is data confidentiality. As it also happened with the previous one, this is more general, not only happened in export and import, but it's very, very important in export and import situation. So the definition of data confidentiality is the protection of data from and about individuals or organizations. And the example is data confidentiality is personal data, trade secrets, and other private business data. The next one is tariff line. And in this term, I categorize it on import term. So tariff line is a product as defined in list of tariff rates. The example for this term is now more than 2/3 of tariff lines can be imported without licenses. Next term is Customs Services Management Entrepreneurs, or in Indonesia we call it BPJK. And this is export and import term as it because this institution used for by people who need help to export and import the goods. So the definition is business entities that carry out management activities to fulfill customs obligations for and with the authority of importers or exporters. The example for this term is PPJK. PPJK's function is to authorize importers and exporters in the processing of customs documents. Okay, for this term, there are toxic waste, and also hazardous waste. And these terms is in export and import terms, as both export and import terms usually export or import this waste. So for the toxic waste, is waste that is harmful or fatal to living organisms when absorbed or ingested. The example is the company was fined for dumping toxic waste into the river. And for hazardous waste is the lower level of potentially harmful substances. The example is there are now standards setting out which hazardous waste can be placed in landfills. So the explanation here I want to say more is that not all hazardous waste are toxic, but all the toxic waste are hazardous. So toxic waste is like higher level, all those dangerous substances. So the next one is the end. So thank you for your attention, and I really hope that this video could help you to understand some of the important terms in export and import, and I hope this video can help you to, I don't know, like help you to do the assignment or gain you more knowledge and understanding about export and import, especially English for export and import. So that's all from me. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.